Welcome back, I'm John Cookson in London as we look back at some of the major news stories of 2022. And we begin where we left off in August of the year that's just passed. Russia and Ukraine accused each other of shelling Europe's biggest nuclear power plant, compounding fears of a disaster like the meltdown at Chernobyl in 1986. Staff held disaster drills in case the worst happened. 6 reactors had been shut down, but there were still dangers of a radiation leak from spent fuel rods held in storage tanks. The Russians still control the plant, which is operated by a skeleton staff of Ukrainians. Inspectors from the International Atomic Energy Agency have been allowed access from time to time. On each occasion, inspectors made a plea to stop the bombing. But even as the year closed, the complex was still being rocketed intermittently. There was some good news out of Ukraine to help lessen the global food crisis. A Sierra Leone flagship was the first vessel to leave Ukrainian waters under a grain deal struck between Ukraine, Russia, the United Nations and Turkey. Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February blocked shipping through the Black Sea. The deal, which has been renewed, will expire in April. August saw the passing of former Russian leader Mikhail Gorbachev, who died aged 91. He ended the Cold War without bloodshed, but failed to prevent the collapse of the Soviet Union. The Kremlin described Gorbachev as an extraordinary statesman, although Putin was never a big fan. In the Middle East, Israeli forces bombed targets they said were linked to the Palestinian Islamic Jihad movement in Gaza, killing a commander and prompting vows of retaliation from the militant group. Palestinians rocketed Israel, and the strikes came after days of escalating tensions and ended more than a year of relative calm along the border. In America, FBI agents raided former US President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach, Florida. Documents unsealed in federal court said the agents removed 11 sets of classified papers, including several marked top secret. The Washington Post reported the agents were looking for documents related to nuclear weapons, but this was never substantiated. Historic monsoon rains hit Pakistan, killing at least 1,000 people and leaving millions homeless. Roads, crops, bridges were washed away by unprecedented flash floods. Pakistan appealed for international help, and some countries sent in supplies and rescue teams. Kenyan police fired tear gas at protesters after William Ruto was declared the winner of a tight presidential race. The worst disturbances were in the town of Kisumu, a stronghold of veteran politician Raila Odinga. Ruto won just over 50% of the vote against his opponent Odinga on just over 48%.
Good afternoon. I have just accepted Her Majesty the Queen's kind invitation to form a new government.
We need a new approach for a new era.
A new UK Prime Minister and her Chancellor, Kwesi Kwarteng, announcing historic tax cuts funded by the biggest increase in borrowing since 1972. The move sent markets into freefall and the pound plunged to record lows. Kwarteng was sacked and Liz Truss resigned as Prime Minister after just 44 days, leaving British politics in turmoil and a search underway for yet another Prime Minister. September the 8th, and Queen Elizabeth's family members rushed to be by the side of Britain's 96-year-old monarch in Balmoral after doctors announced there were concerns for her health. A shocked nation heard that she'd passed away, ending 70 years on the throne, the UK's longest reigning monarch. This veteran summing up the thoughts of many.
I'm feeling up and down. Sad, joyful.
I've been retired 10 years and I'm loving it. I'm sure it's very
And it's a very precious place to come to. And the nation wants to be here. So there's a joint of sadness but also celebration.
The former Prince of Wales became King Charles III and his wife Camilla, the Queen Consort, as the UK entered a period of national mourning. The late Queen Elizabeth's coffin was taken along the Royal Mile in the Scottish capital Edinburgh in a silent and solemn procession. King Charles and his siblings, Anne, Andrew and Edward, walked behind. Then came the lying in state. Around 250,000 people lined up outside Westminster Hall to pay their respects.
So you very much feel like I want to be there, I've got to go past. I said to my husband, it's not the same as looking on the television. You've got to be there to know what the atmosphere really is like. By the time I get over there, I'll be buckets of tears, you know.
200 heads of state attended the funeral. A UK TV audience of 30 million watched the final farewell. The global audience was thought to be around 1 billion. Iranian security forces clashed with protesters in countrywide demonstrations over the death of Mahsa Amini, a young woman in the custody of the morality police. She'd been arrested for allegedly not wearing her hijab correctly. The Iranian government version is that Miss Amini died from a heart attack caused by a medical condition. Her family vehemently denies that. Unrest still breaks out sporadically. At least 3 demonstrators have been hanged. Rishi Sunak became Britain's Prime Minister in late October after his predecessor Liz Truss stepped down. The 42-year-old former hedge fund boss, who has been only elected in politics for 7 years, was tasked by his party to bring an end to the infighting and feuding at Westminster that horrified investors and alarmed international allies. Halloween horror in South Korea. A deadly crush killed 156 people and injured another 200. Revelers have flooded narrow alleyways in a popular nightlife district to celebrate the first COVID mask-free Halloween festivities in 3 years. Former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan was wounded in an assassination attempt in early November. His anti-government protest convoy had come under attack. Khan, ousted as Prime Minister in a parliamentary confidence vote in April, was 6 days into a protest procession bound for Islamabad when the shots rang out. Khan was among 10 wounded people in the attack in Wazirabad. One party worker was killed. US basketball star Brittany Griner was released in a prisoner swap with Russia. The Russian Foreign Ministry said it traded Griner for a Russian citizen, Viktor Bout, a former arms dealer. The swap occurred at Abu Dhabi Airport in the United Arab Emirates.
And there it is.
NASA's Orion capsule barreled through Earth's atmosphere and splashed down in the Pacific Ocean after making an uncrewed voyage around the moon.
Splashdown.
It wound up the inaugural mission of the US agency's new Artemis lunar program 50 years to the day after Apollo's final moon landing. Meanwhile, down on Earth, we end this look back in Ukraine, where Russia still occupies around 70,000 square kilometers of Ukrainian territory, including Crimea. Winter has arrived and the Ukrainians are preparing for a new Russian offensive in the new year. Peace seems as elusive as ever. And that concludes our look back at turbulent 2022. I wonder what surprises 2023 has in store for us. Let's hope for the best. John Cookson, Arise News, London.